Okay, today we're talking about functions. What is a function? A function is going to be two sets of data where one of the sets of data, which is going to be your x values, do not repeat. And in short, I'm just going to say function is two sets of data. And the two sets of data that we're talking about is going to be your x values and your y values. X values and Y values, where the X values do not repeat. I'm going to put a semicolon where the X values do not repeat. The most important thing to remember here, I'm going to take my highlighter, is that the X values do not repeat. If it's a function, the X values do not repeat. I'm going to look at some function tables or some tables, and I'm going to say whether or not that table is a function based on the definition of what a function is. So we're going to look at some tables and graphs. Okay. All right, this first table, X and Y values, we have 1, 2, 5, 7. Y values 2, 3, 8, and 10. Is this table a function? Yes or no? Is this table of values a function? Yes or no? What do you think? This is a function because none of these x's repeat. So this table is a function. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. Okay. We have okay. All right. Is this table a function? Yes or no? Yes, it is because none of these x values repeat. Okay. Is this table a function? No. Okay, this is not a function. Why is this not a function? Very good. This is a no because you have some x values that repeat. Okay. Okay. Let's look at a graph. I'm going to go just 5 up, 5 down, 5 to the left, and 5 to the right. All right. If I have straight line, are any of the points on this line, this point right here, I can do this point right here, I can do this point up here. Do any of the points on this line have the same x value? I see some people shaking their head. No, they do not. So this is a function. Another way to tell if this is a function is to do what you call the vertical line test. And I should capitalize vertical line test because that's the name of a test. Okay, you can use the vertical line test, and I'm going to highlight vertical line test. That's very important to see if a line is a function. I'm going to pause for the calls. Matthew, you good? Rolando? Okay. Gabriel, please cut your camera on, babe. Ella M, please cut your camera on, babe. Matthew, what you laughing at? Yes, go ahead. All right, with the vertical line test, you take a vertical line. A vertical line is up and down, just like this pencil. I wish I had one that was a little smaller, but you take the vertical line test and you start like you're reading from left to right. You start from the left part of the graph and you move your vertical line or pencil across the graph. If that graph touches your pencil in more than one place at the same exact time, then it's not a function. But as you can see with this vertical line and my graph, as I move it across the graph, that straight line only crosses the pencil one time. It doesn't loop back around and cross the pencil again. So this is a function. This is a function. Let's look at some more graphs just to make sure that we understand that concept. We're going to look at some other graphs. Okay. Let's suppose that we have a graph that looks like this. And we want to know if this is a function. That means, do any of the x values repeat? These arrows is an indicator that the line is going to continue without end. Okay. So when I perform or when I do the vertical line test, my curved line, my U-shaped line, only crosses this pencil one time as it moves from left to right. So none of these x values on this U-shaped line repeat. So this is a function. This is going to be a yes. Questions about why this is a function? Let's look at another one. I have a line that looks like this, almost like a C. What are your guesses? Do you think this is a function? Yes or no? It's not a function. Very good. It is not a function because you have some x values that repeat, and it fails the vertical line test. This line loops back around and crosses this pencil in more than one place at the same time. This is not a function. Questions about that? Okay, I'm going to do one more graph. Okay. Is this a function? Yes or no? No, this is not a function because it fails the vertical line test. The circle does loop back around and touch that pencil more than one time at the same time. This is not a function. Solving a function, you can, a couple ways that you can actually solve some functions. They're going to give you some values, and you need to figure out what the output is. But before you solve a function, you need to know the different names for X and Y. For X, you can have input, you can have domain, and you can have independent variable. The different names for Y, the opposite of input is output. That's the name for Y, the output or the answer. The opposite of domain is range. That's a synonym for y. The opposite of independent variable is dependent variable. In order, the value for x, well, the value for y depends on whatever x is. Your y is depending on x. And the last synonym for y is f of x. The f stands for function of x. And y is a function of x. Why? Because you have to know what x is in order to get y. So the f stands for function. So to solve for functions, you may have an equation, y is equal to 2x minus 1. This is your equation. To write your equation in function notation, you change your y to f of x. So to write this as function notation, instead of writing y, I'm going to write f of x. And now this equation is written in function notation. The number that's in parentheses is going to be the value for x. This is my x value. So in order to figure out what y is equal to, they have to give you an x value. This is an example of what you might get or see. You might see f of 2 is equal to 2x minus 1. This is telling you here that x is equal to 2. So what is y equal to? That's what this is saying. So what you do is you're going to plug in 2 for x and solve for y. So f of x, or f of 2, I'm going to plug in 2 for x. This is 2 times 2 minus 1. So f of 2 is going to be 4 minus 1. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So f of 2 is equal to 3. So what does that mean, Ms. Reyes? That means, again, that my x value is 2. That was my input. But that my output, or my answer, or my y value is 3. This is another way to write your answer. I'm going to pause for the calls.